Good morning, everyone. A warm welcome, Peter, Clarice, and all those that are still joining us. Today's learning is dedicated to memory of those whose yahrzeit falls today, as well as all those that we are saying Kaddish for during the year. I want to start with an interesting question that I think very much resonates with me, and I'm sure it's something that you'll all be able to relate to. And that is, as we approach the High Holy Day period, the question we have to ask ourselves is, do we actually appreciate life? This week's parsha begins Re'ei Anochi Noisein Lifnechem Hayom Bracha Uklala. Literally, that means, see, I am giving you a blessing or a curse today. And therefore, we find that the Jewish people are given by God a choice in life, living a life of blessing or a life of curse, a life of light or a life of darkness, life of good or a life of evil. That's simply the way it can be understood. But there is also the first word of the parasha. It says re'eh, see. The question is, why do we need to be told to see? Isn't it obvious that we see the blessings and those things that are not good in our lives? Why would we need to be told that we need to see the blessings? When the Jewish people were in the wilderness, we know that they complained constantly. Complained about the food, complained about a lack of water, complained about life in the desert. It was better in Egypt when they were slaves. At every twist and turn, they complained. And you all know that when we go on any type of holiday, immediately people like to complain. They complain about the airport, complain about security, complain about the seat on the plane, complain about the journey. They complain about their not getting their luggage quickly enough. Then when they get there, they complain about the holiday, the weather, the food. And then they come back and somebody asks them, well, tell me, how was your holiday? Well, actually, it was terrible. I would never go there again. It's a very classic response by many people to having gone away. They go away to have a rest, to recharge their batteries, and they come back and are constantly complaining about the holiday that they had, which in fact was not that bad, quite good. The problem that we have is that we don't see through both eyes. Very often we only see the bad, we see the negativity, we seem to be drawn to it. If we were able to see things with two eyes, the good and the bad, the positive and the negative, then we would have a more balanced perspective to life. This is a problem and a malady that the Jewish people have suffered from the beginning. If you think about the time of Adam and Eve, what was the fact? They had everything at their disposal. They were living in a Garden of Eden, and yet that one fruit that they weren't able to eat, that was off limits, that ruined everything else for them. You look at the spies, and the Jewish people were entering into the promised land. They saw huge fruits. It was a bountiful land, plentiful, idyllic, and yet they complained about the fact it was so good. And very often, this is what happens. We find that the Jewish people, when they complain about the water, they're called Mei Mara, the waters of bitterness. The waters weren't bitter, but they were embittered because the Jewish people chose to see those waters as bitter. It didn't taste inherently bitter. But we define and we decide the way that we see life. Are we going to see it through eyes of darkness, eyes of criticism, a jaundiced eye, or are we going to see it through light, sunshine, and seeing the positives? I'm not trying to airbrush all the flaws in life. There's always going to be challenges and ordeals. That's part and parcel of life. But when we are standing and we're heading towards Rosh Hashanah, we're going to stand and we're going to say, please God, write me in the book of life. What life do we want? And I think one of the most important things that we could possibly ask for is that we should be able to appreciate life itself. Rav Shimon Schwab was a great rabbi in America, and he was a great educator and speaker. And the story goes that he, towards the end of his life, was incapacitated. He was confined to a wheelchair. And when he was asked about it, he said, it didn't in any way diminish his happiness, his simchas hachaim. And they said, how can that be? You're confined to a wheelchair. You're not able to get around, not able to do what you wanted. Your legs, aren't working. He said, life is a gift. And the body that we have, or being in this world, is on loan. The body we're given is on loan from God. After 85, 90 years, part of that loan has now had to be returned. That's my legs. How can I not be thankful and show appreciation and gratitude for what I had and for what I still have? It's a wonderful mindset for us towards life, towards people, and toward living a fulfilling, meaningful life. So we're going to conclude there with, as we always try to do, and that is, we'll conclude with Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He causes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even as I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I'll fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You set a table before me in the presence of my adversaries. You anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. May only goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord for length of days. Memorial prayer. Adon olamim zachoes nishmois. Shalach ol yolamam manabal rachamim tasvim b'teis kanapech ol yolamim b'teso b'schem b'teshma zamiyanucha mishkol zam b'shalom v'namar. Amen. Lastly, refuah shlema prayer in particular, we have in mind that very special Hasmonean girl who graduated, went on holiday to Israel with some friends, and ended up in a very serious condition with a terrible illness. And only yesterday, with all the prayers and all the charity that's been given, she opened her eyes for the first time. Still got a long way to get better. We wish her well, as long as we'll have her in mind when we say the refuah shlema prayer. Misha Be'echavasinu Abba Mizrav Yaakov Moshe Aaron David Shalom Yivarech Rebbe Sechelim Babush Anu Mispalim Baburam Yizchaz HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yimalei Rachem Eleihem Lakum Lefosam Yishlach Refuah Shlema Neshamaim Lechol Rebbe Besoch Shach Yisrael Refuah Nefesh V'Zeguf Hashtag V'Gazman Kariv V'Noma Amen. Wishing everyone well. Lovely to see you, David. You need your football boots today. Rachel, Estelle, Martin, Peter, Clarice. Lovely to see you all. Please keep well. Have a wonderful day. Please God, we will see you tomorrow. And that is at 9 a.m. probably in the car. Take care.